welcome to another interesting edition of the News with Obi. My name is Obi, and today I have with me Chinwe Adetula. She's an attorney, a writer, an indie publisher, and we are going to be talking about how to get your book published, how to get into writing, and most importantly, how to get back into reading again. I know there were a lot of us with social media, cell phones, and all that. We have a short attention span, myself included. So Chinwe is really going to give us the tips on how to really get back into the swing of things. Welcome to the show, Chinwe.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone.
Hi. So, talk to us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into writing?
Okay. Like you said, an attorney and writer and whatever. I came from a household where reading actually was all we did. Because, growing up, when I grew up in Nigeria, there was like one station, maybe two channels or whatever, and it came on at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock,
Right.
and you couldn't move near the TV, God forbid, on a weekday
Yeah.
until, after you'd done your homework. So basically, all you had to do was read.
Right.
And so my parents would be like, "Have you read today?" So it just became a part of what I did, and all my siblings, and that's just how we grew up reading. And then when we read all the books in the house, we started writing our own stories and swapping and reading each other's stories. So I guess that's how that was born.
Okay. And you are also an indie publisher.
Yes.
And you've published your book and another book as well. And being an indie publisher, like I've always said, is like owning a small business.
Mm-hmm.
So, talk to us a little bit about that, the ups and downs that's involved with that.
Right. So, yes, like you said, being an indie publisher or a publisher is a business because, especially when you're taking on other people's work. Now, it was fine to consider it a hobby when it was just my books and I could choose when I wanted to put it out or not. But when you're handling someone else's work, you have deadlines and you have the responsibility of of marketing the book more enthusiastically than maybe you'd market your own. So, the challenge for me was shifting from being a hobby to being business.
You published. Let's hear about your book. Tell us a little bit about that. What inspired you to write this book?
Okay, so here's my book. I have it right here. Look at that coincidence. So that's The Perfect Girl, The Prostitute, and Other Stories. It's book of short stories, 17 to be exact. And I was inspired actually by my sister and by a writing class I took. I took a writing class several years ago, and we had to write a story a week, as an assignment. And so I just had all these stories, right? And so my sister read some of them, and she was like, "This is really good. You should publish them." I was like, I don't know about that. But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna publish it. And so when I found out the market for short stories was not there, really, I was like, hey, I'll publish my own. So I did some research and published my own, and then Story She Wrote Publishing was born. My books are on Amazon, and every book I publish is through Amazon as well. So that's one of the biggest book retailers because, let's face it, hardly anyone goes into brick and mortar stores these days to pick up a book, unfortunately. So it's online. You can find them on Kindle, and you can find them on Amazon.
I know when I was reading your bio, you talked about how you wanted to break out of the mold of what is expected of you to write, of what is expected being, you have an African background, they expect you to write certain things. Talk to us a little bit about how you've been able to break out of that stereotype.
Right. Okay. So this is really interesting. Growing up, when I was writing my little stories or whatever as a young girl, I wrote mostly stories about little white girls. And this was because all the books I read, be it the Enid Blyton or Barbara Cartland or the Harlequin romances or Mills and Boons, that's who I saw. So it was almost as if those were the only characters allowed to be written about. And then enter when I got introduced to like Chinua Achebe and People of the City and Jagwanana, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. But I thought it had to be either Caucasian based literature or African literature. There was no in between. And then I took this writing class and I was just writing stuff about people like me, a Nigerian American born in America to Nigerian parents, raised in Nigeria maybe, or raised here, and just having experiences like any other girl. And so I was writing like that, but it was received as in, maybe you don't really know what you're talking about. I was like, well, but this is my life. I know what I'm talking about. I'm living it. Right. So I just decided to give myself permission to write as who I was and not who people expected me to be.
We also, I know I was going to mention to you about Toke Makinwa's new book, which is making a lot of waves in Nigeria. Yes. And some Nigerians overseas also have heard about her book, Unbecoming.
Yes.
And a friend of mine did mention that the book was actually short. I'm not sure how many pages the book was or is. But I don't think, do you think that makes a difference in this day and age?
I will say, well, when it comes to pricing your book, I would, unless you're a celebrity, and Toke Makinwa is a Nigerian celebrity, like it or not. So what she's selling is her celebrity. I don't think she's selling herself as this great writer. You know, I haven't read the book. I've read an excerpt. It held my attention, but it will not be winning any Nobel Peace Prizes or any whatever awards for any literary awards. Right. It is people who want a piece of celebrity, who want to know where Toke Makinwa came from. So as far as we view it as what it is, then okay, I'm fine with that. Right. And for it being short, if your book is 100 pages or less, that's really not a novel to me. That's like a novelette or something. Okay. And you should not be selling it for $14.99. You should, I think, you know, because I personally would not buy it. Yeah, I'd walk into Barnes and Nobles and rifle through the pages and get the gist and go. Yeah. So I think you should price your work according to, you know, the number of pages. Be fair.
Right. So any advice for people out there wanting to get back into reading?
Well, for me, it's hard for me as well. I'm very, very into my phone and stuff. I also read on Kindle, so I'm fine with that. But for the hard copy, what I do, since I have a commute, I'm not sure how many of you out there have a commute. I have about an hour and a half each way. So I just take my book on the train. And before you know it, you're 1 or 2 chapters in. And then on the way back, if you so desire, you're another 1 or 2 chapters in. You know, they're just little ways to sneak in some book reading. So yeah, you can do it.
All right. So before we leave, I would like you to first of all tell us once again where we can find your work and how people can get in touch with you if they need any advice, or even people that have like speaking engagement coming up and they need authors to show up. Give us some info on how to find you.
Okay, guys. All right, my book is on Amazon, and I published under CC Adetula. That's the letter CC Adetula. I also am very active on my Facebook page, which is Story She Wrote, all one word, Story She Wrote, and also I have a YouTube channel, Story She Wrote, as well, and also on Twitter at story_she_wrote, also on Instagram by the same name.
And we're going to have this all up on the screen too.
Okay, all right. So then, so this is my book, and I have one coming out next year. So look out for that. It's going to be really, really juicy.
Yes, go get the book, you guys. We're going to have everything listed for you on how to get the book. And thank you so much, CC, for being on the show. Despite all the technical difficulties that we had, we got through it. Thank you so much. And for more information on how to be on the show, if you know anybody in your community doing great things and you want us to highlight them on the show, email us at info@obi1productions.com. See you next time.
Thank you, Obi. Bye, guys.